The recent news of Turkey's impending foreign agents law has sparked a wave of concerns across both domestic and international communities. The legislation, reportedly designed to limit the influence of foreign entities on Turkish affairs, has far-reaching implications for civil liberties, national sovereignty, and Turkey's position on the global stage. Officially, the proposed law aims to safeguard Turkey from what the government describes as harmful foreign influence, curtailing activities it sees as a risk to national security. However, critics argue that the new measure is an attempt to stifle dissent and further consolidate government control over public discourse, especially regarding controversial policies and international relations. The draft bill, viewed by sources such as Bloomberg, outlines severe penalties of up to 7 years in prison for individuals or organizations deemed to be foreign agents, echoing similar legislation in other authoritarian-leaning countries that use foreign influence laws as a tool to maintain control. In essence, the foreign agents law would require individuals, organizations, and media outlets receiving any form of foreign funding to register with the government, disclose their financial sources, and adhere to regulations designed to limit their operational capacity in Turkey. This mandate is in line with broader global trends where governments in various countries have introduced similar laws to regulate civil society under the pretext of protecting national security. Advocates of the law in Turkey's government assert that it's a necessary defense against external pressures and foreign influence, particularly in sensitive areas like media, political activism, and human rights organizations that might challenge or undermine the government's policies. These areas of civil society have increasingly relied on international funding to sustain their operations, especially in light of Turkey's restrictive economic environment. However, critics have raised concerns that this law will deal a severe blow to Turkey's civil society, potentially pushing out foreign-funded NGOs and advocacy groups that play a crucial role in monitoring, supporting, and advancing social issues. Turkey's civil society has historically been vibrant and diverse, encompassing groups that focus on human rights, freedom of speech, gender equality, and environmental protections. With the enactment of the Foreign Agents Law, many fear that these groups could be forced to cease their operations due to the restrictive regulations and the stigmatization that accompanies the foreign agent label. For instance, organizations that rely on international grants could be targeted and subjected to fines, property seizures, and even imprisonment if they are found in violation of the new rules. The harsh penalties proposed in the draft bill underscore the government's intent to establish stringent controls, particularly targeting any organizations or individuals who may represent opposing views or advocate for policies at odds with the government's agenda. Turkey's decision to introduce this law is occurring against a backdrop of rising tensions in the region, with escalating conflicts and political instability shaping the Turkish government's policy approaches. Recent diplomatic friction with Israel has highlighted Turkey's interest in asserting its independence and reducing external influence on its political discourse. This law may be seen as part of a larger strategy to reinforce Turkey's stance on autonomy and shield itself from perceived interference from foreign governments and organizations. Turkish authorities have expressed apprehensions that certain international groups operating within Turkey may be channeling resources and support to opposition figures, seeking to sway public opinion and challenge the government's policies. Yet, beyond the stated rationale of protecting national security, analysts point to potential ramifications for freedom of speech and democratic engagement within Turkey. The law could very well serve as a means for the government to limit public discourse, especially criticism of policies related to its international relations and domestic governance. Civil rights advocates argue that by labeling organizations and media outlets that receive foreign funds as foreign agents, Turkey risks isolating itself from the global community, casting suspicion on legitimate groups whose only crime is being part of an internationally funded network. This move is seen as a potential regression from Turkey's earlier democratic reforms, bringing the nation's policies closer in line with countries that impose significant restrictions on civil liberties and dissent. Historically, the concept of a foreign agents law has roots in times of political conflict, often as a measure to prevent espionage and control ideological influence. The modern usage, however, has evolved in several countries where authoritarian governments have utilized it as a tool to maintain control over civil society and limit foreign-backed advocacy. For example, Russia and China both have foreign agent laws that strictly control and monitor foreign-funded NGOs, imposing severe penalties on those that are seen as challenging the state's authority. These laws have contributed to an environment in which civil society has been increasingly constrained, with fewer organizations willing to risk government backlash in order to continue their work. Critics worry that Turkey's adoption of a similar policy could signify a move away from democratic values, leaning instead toward an authoritarian governance model where dissent is controlled through legal mechanisms. Internationally, the implications of Turkey's foreign agents law could be significant. The law may impact Turkey's relationships with its Western allies, including the United States and the European Union, both of which have historically advocated for the protection of civil rights and democratic values in their foreign relations. Given that Turkey is a NATO member and a crucial player in regional stability, these alliances have been largely pragmatic. However, a law that fundamentally limits freedom of association, expression, and press freedom could introduce tensions in these relationships, prompting Western countries to apply diplomatic pressure or even impose sanctions. The law also raises questions about Turkey's commitment to the standards set forth by international organizations like the United Nations, which Turkey is a member of, and could further strain its relations with these bodies. One of the pressing issues is how Turkey plans to define foreign influence and national interests within the law, as these terms are inherently subjective and can be interpreted to fit a wide range of circumstances. Legal experts argue that the broad wording seen in similar laws could enable Turkish authorities to apply the foreign agent's designation arbitrarily, targeting individuals or groups for political reasons rather than any real threat to national security. This ambiguity raises concerns that the law could be selectively enforced, especially during times of political unrest or in response to international criticism. The public reaction within Turkey has been varied, with opposition parties, civil rights organizations, and advocacy groups expressing concerns about the potential erosion of democratic freedoms. Some Turkish citizens see the law as an attempt to insulate the government from accountability and to curb the public's access to unbiased information. With the rise of social media and alternative news outlets, foreign-funded organizations have played a key role in providing independent reporting and analysis on domestic and international issues, especially in a media landscape where government influence is prevalent. By targeting these organizations, the Foreign Agents Law could limit the public's ability to access information that challenges the government's official narrative. Looking forward, the enactment of this law would likely have immediate consequences for Turkey's civil society. Many NGOs may opt to cease their operations within Turkey rather than risk fines, imprisonment, or other punitive measures. Additionally, individuals who speak on politically sensitive topics, such as human rights abuses or controversial foreign policies, could face legal consequences if they are seen as undermining Turkey's national interests, leading to a chilling effect on free speech and public debate. At the international level, the Foreign Agents Law could prompt human rights organizations and advocacy groups to re-evaluate their support for Turkey, leading to a potential withdrawal of resources and a reduction in the programs designed to support Turkish civil society. This could impact a wide range of sectors, from humanitarian assistance and refugee support to human rights monitoring and economic development programs. The withdrawal of these resources may further isolate Turkey from the international community, creating an environment where the government exercises tighter control over all aspects of public life. In conclusion, Turkey's proposed Foreign Agents Law marks a pivotal moment in the nation's modern history, symbolizing a shift toward increased state control over civil society and public discourse. While the government insists that the law is necessary to protect Turkey from harmful foreign influence, the broader implications suggest a move toward restricting freedoms and limiting the role of external entities in Turkey's domestic affairs. This shift raises concerns about the future of democratic engagement, transparency, and accountability in Turkey. As the international community watches closely, the enactment of this law will likely have lasting effects on Turkey's civil society and its relationships with foreign partners, as well as on the freedoms that its citizens currently enjoy. In navigating this new era of governance, Turkey will face the challenge of balancing its desire for national security with the principles of openness, accountability, and democratic integrity that have long been a foundation of its identity.